I was undercover, a mole in a massive fraud operation, and I just woken up with the ability to read minds. My target? Ashley Adams, the daughter of the crime boss, a total snake in designer clothes. To her face, I was Sweetie, her doting boyfriend. Inside her head, I was a breathing ATM machine. Everyone in this city's elite circles laughed at me. The ultimate simp, throwing away millions for a manipulative princess, making a fool of myself. They had no idea I could hear every dirty thought, every vile scheme from her and her entire criminal family. They certainly didn't know that every dollar I spent was another nail in their coffin. My goal was never to win her over. It was to use her as bait, to reel in her father, and then follow the trail straight to their entire family, locking them all up where they belonged. A quick sneak peek. Ashley. Oh, Sweetie, I just adore this limited edition bag. Her actual thought. Moron, buy it. I need to show it off to my friends next week. Me. Consider it yours, babe. My card. My actual thought. Bill goes straight to the task force. Evidence check. Ashley. Ethan, you're just the best. Her actual thought. Never met a man so stupid. I'll bleed him dry, then kick him to the curb. Me. Anything for you, darling. My actual thought. Don't worry, you won't get the chance. We're closing in next week. They have plenty of sewing machines in the federal pen, enough for you to work for a lifetime. My name is Ethan Hayes. Or rather, my current identity is Ethan Carter. I was playing the part of a trust fund kid freshly back from overseas, rumored to have made his fortune in some obscure mining venture. Dumb, loaded, and with the worst taste in clothes imaginable. That was the persona I'd spent 3 months, a small fortune, and a series of increasingly absurd antics building for myself in this city's social scene. Right now, I was lounging in the plushest VIP suite of the city's most exclusive karaoke bar, sinking into a velvet sofa. Ashley Adams, my target, was clinging to me like a kitten, half her body pressed against mine, a 5-figure bottle of vintage wine in her hand. Her voice was syrupy sweet as she cooed, Ethan, you're just the best. And then a crystal-clear voice echoed in my head. This idiot, he's as greasy as a hog fresh out of a deep fryer. If he didn't have a few million to his name, I'd smash this bottle over his head right now. As soon as I trick him into handing over that project, I'm kicking him to the curb. My hand, holding my own glass, didn't so much as twitch. I even managed to flash her a smile that I hoped conveyed dominant CO. Anything for you, darling. Yes, I could read minds. This ability had awakened suddenly after my last undercover assignment, when a suspect had clubbed me over the head. At first, I thought it was just a concussion, my head filled with buzzing static. Then I walked into the police station dining hall, and as the lunch lady scooped a generous portion of pot roast on my plate, she said kindly, Eat up, son, you're too thin. But in my head I heard, skinny as a rail, wasting that pretty face. Eat some meat, bulk up, so you can marry my daughter. From that day on, the world held no secrets from me. Of course, the side effects were obvious. Like now, I had to play the part of a lust-struck fool while enduring Ashley's mental onslaught, critiquing everything from my hair to my toenails. Ethan, Sweetie, I heard you're thinking of investing in a new energy project. Ashley's fingers traced circles on my arm, her breath warm against my ear. Dad said this project is a gold mine. If we get it, our family can finally go completely legit. This idiot Carter? He's a godsend, the perfect mark. I smirked internally, a carefully crafted look of confusion and slight pride on my face. Oh, how'd you know? Yeah, I'm kinda interested. Not that I know much about it, just heard it can make a buck. Oh, darling, we don't need to understand these things ourselves, Ashley said, bringing her wine glass to my lips. My dad just happens to know a top expert in that field. How about I set up a meeting sometime? He could help you look it over. Just try to show up, and we'll strip you to the bone. We'll get you to sign a shady contract, and you won't have anywhere to cry when it all blows up. Looking at her innocent face, I almost burst out laughing. I'm Ethan Hayes, the youngest captain in the city's anti-gang unit. The reason I was playing this fool was to reel in her father, Richard Adams, a major player. On the surface, his family ran legitimate businesses, but behind the scenes, they controlled the city's largest illegal loan shark operation and black market financing network, driving countless companies to bankruptcy and ruining lives. And this new energy project? It was our carefully prepared bait. I was about to pretend to be blinded by lust and agree when the VIP suite door suddenly burst open. Bang! The loud crash made the crystal chandelier tremble. Standing in the doorway was a man in a black suit, flanked by several tough-looking thugs. The man leading them had garish blonde hair, and he drunkenly pointed at Ashley, slurring, "Ashley, you said you weren't feeling well tonight. You bitch. Turns out you're out with this pretty boy." Ashley's face went white. "Kyle Stevens, that's psycho. How'd he find me? If he messes this up for me, I'll kill him." While cursing him internally, she frantically hid behind me, her voice trembling as if on the verge of tears. "Ethan, sweetie, I don't know him. He's crazy, always harassing me." I watched the classic rich kid, jealous boyfriend scene unfold, completely unfazed. The intel stated clearly, blonde hair, Kyle Stevens, one of Ashley Adams's many backup plans. His family owned a chain of supermarkets, and she kept him on a leash as a walking ATM. Kyle was clearly seeing red. He pointed a finger at my nose. "Who the hell are you, punk? You think you can touch my woman?" Before I could even open my mouth, Ashley launched into her Oscar-worthy performance. "Kyle, what are you talking about? Ethan is my esteemed guest. If you don't stop, I'm calling the cops." "This worthless idiot. Good thing Ethan's a moron. He won't suspect anything. Get rid of Kyle fast, or my $5 million bag is gone." I sighed. I preferred to stick to the script, but there were always supporting characters who wanted to steal the show. I stood up, slowly adjusted the cuff of my six-figure suit, stepping in front of Ashley. I lowered my voice, trying for a magnetic, bossy CO tone. "Look, pal, let's be reasonable. Ashley is my woman. You're making me look bad." That's what my persona would say. Kyle's fury intensified. He grabbed an empty wine bottle from a nearby table. "Screw your pride, buddy. I'm going to show you right now who you're messing with." With that, he lunged at me, bottle raised. Ashley let out a short, sharp shriek. "Hit him. Kill him, I hope. Let this idiot Ethan see that he'll fight for me. That'll make him even more devoted." My last shred of patience evaporated. Just as Kyle's bottle was a hair's breadth from my skull, I moved. I didn't dodge. Instead, I shifted slightly, my right hand shooting out like lightning, seizing his wrist with precision. At the same time, my left foot subtly tripped him. "Ack!" Kyle yelped, losing his balance completely. The bottle flew from his grasp, and he himself executed a perfect faceplant on the polished marble floor. His arrogant face made intimate contact with the ground, instantly blossoming with blood. The entire VIP suite fell into a deathly silence. The thugs who'd followed Kyle were wide-eyed, stunned. Ashley was also frozen. He's just a moron, right? How is he so fast? Did he train? Doesn't look like it. He seems so weak. Must be a fluke. Yes, Kyle must have been too drunk to stand straight. I let go of his wrist, looking down at Kyle groaning on the floor. On my face was a perfectly calibrated mix of shock and fear. "Oh my goodness, you fell down? I didn't even touch you." "Ashley, you saw it. He just rushed at me and slipped." As I spoke, I took 2 steps back, adopting I'm so scared demeanor. Ashley immediately caught on, chiming in, Yes, Ethan, we all saw it. He fell on his own. It's not your fault." Her words were one thing, but her internal alarm bells were blaring. Something's wrong, very wrong. That was too precise to be a coincidence. This Ethan, he's not as simple as I thought. No, I need to test him. Kyle was helped up by his cronies, blood smeared across his face, looking utterly pathetic. He pointed at me, struggling to articulate his words. You just wait, you bastard." I fearfully pulled my head back, hiding behind Ashley. My feigned cowardice seemed to restore Ashley's confidence. Guess it really was a fluke. "Look at that wimp. Must have been dumb luck." She cleared her throat, puffing out her chest, and snapped at Kyle. "Kyle, haven't you caused enough trouble? Get out of here. Don't you dare bother me again, or I'll have my dad break your legs." Kyle, yelled at by his crush and seeing me as a coward, felt his pride shatter. He glared at me, muttered a threat, and then slunk away with his crew. The farce was over. Ashley instantly reverted to her soft, delicate self, leaning against me, feigning lingering fear. "Ethan, sweetie, you scare me to death. Thank goodness you were here. Useless idiot, can't even handle a lowlife like Kyle." But that move just now was pretty cool, even if it was a fluke. Guess he can serve as a bodyguard before I drain him dry. I patted her back, gently comforting her. "It's okay, darling. For you, I'd do anything. My internal thought, the real show is just beginning. After the little drama, Ashley was clearly more observant of me. She no longer treated me as a mere walking ATM. Instead, she started subtly probing my background. Ethan, sweetie, did you used to practice martial arts? That was so cool earlier. She poured me another drink, her eyes like hooks. Better not be. A smart ATM is much harder to control than a dumb one. I gave a simple-minded grin, scratching my head. Martial arts? Nah, I can barely do jumping jacks. Just got lucky. He was probably too drunk. Honestly, I was worried he'd try to sue me. This reply, coupled with my still shaken expression, successfully dispelled most of her suspicions. Definitely an idiot. Still, I need to speed things up. The longer this drags on, the more complications there will be. She changed the subject, returning to the project. Ethan, about my dad, should I go ahead and set up that meeting for you? He spoils me, so if I ask, he'll definitely go all out to help you review it. Sounds good. Whatever you say. I agreed instantly, acting like a lovesick fool. The next few days, I lived the life of a quintessential simp. Good morning and good night texts were constant. Luxury handbags, designer jewelry. If she hinted at it on social media, it would appear on her doorstep the next day. I drove a rented, flashy red Ferrari, picking her up from her office every evening, making sure everyone knew about it. Soon, the rumors spread throughout the city. That rich, dumb son from the mining family, Ethan Carter, was completely besotted with the Adams daughter, reduced to a lapdog on her every whim. My direct superior, Captain Anderson, of the anti-gang unit, looked utterly exasperated when we met in the safe house. Ethan, you're something else, kid. That acting, you deserve an Oscar, Captain Anderson chuckled, munching on some spicy bar snacks. The rookies on the team are saying your greasy persona is so potent they can feel it through the screen. I stripped off the gaudy suit, changing into my own casual jacket. It felt like every pore in my body could finally breathe. Come on, Captain, don't rub it in, I said, chugging a bottle of water. If I keep this up, I'll start believing it myself. That Ashley woman, the things she thinks about me in her head could fill a dictionary. Hang in there, Captain Anderson said, patting my shoulder, his expression turning serious. The fish are starting to bite. Richard Adams, that old fox, has been asking about you through intermediaries several times. He's careful. We've set this trap for a long time, and success hinges on this. I understand, I nodded. Ashley set up dinner for me the day after tomorrow at the Sovereign Club. She says her dad wants to meet me personally. The Sovereign Club? Captain Anderson frowned. That's Richard Adams's turf. Security's tight. Our equipment will be hard to get in. You'll be alone. It's too risky. Don't worry, Captain, I smiled. I've got my super hearing. I'll hear whatever they whisper. Besides, the deeper the snake pit, the more likely they are to slip up. Captain Anderson looked at me, eventually sighing. Stay safe. Remember, you're a cop, not Ethan Carter. Don't get too deep into character and lose yourself. I saluted. Yes, sir. Leaving the safe house, I once again became the slick, preening Mr. Carter. On the way to pick up Ashley, I received an unknown call. Hello, is this Mr. Carter? The voice on the other end was clear and crisp, like ice clinking in a glass. It is. Who's this? I'm Victoria Sterling, CEO of Sterling Holdings. I'd like to discuss the West Side parcel with you. Victoria Sterling. An image immediately formed in my mind. Tall, slender, with a sharp bob haircut, always impeccably dressed in a tailored business suit, eyes sharper than a scalpel. Sterling Holdings, the arch-rival of my shell company, the one I was undercover in, held significant commercial power in this city. And Victoria Sterling herself was renowned in business circles as the Ice Queen, wielding immense authority at a young age, with an iron fist and ruthless tactics. That West Side parcel was another small piece of bait Richard Adams had thrown out to test my financial strength and resolve. I just let slip a few days ago that I intended to bid on it. Ms. Sterling, a pleasure to finally connect, I said, deliberately adopting a frivolous tone. That land? Yeah, I've got my eye on it. Great views, perfect for building a ranch for my Ashley to keep her horses. There was a full 5 seconds of silence on the other end. I could almost hear her internal scream. A ranch? For horses? On prime commercial land in the West Side? Is this idiot's brain filled with straw? What kind of spell has Ashley Adams cast on him? Mr. Carter, are you serious? Victoria's voice was so cold it sounded like it might crack. Have you evaluated the commercial value of that parcel? Evaluation? What's that for? I retorted, indignant. As long as my Ashley likes it, that's all that matters. You can't put a price on happiness, Ms. Sterling. Women like you, who only care about work, just wouldn't understand. Why did I even make this call today? Am I just setting myself up for humiliation? I could almost picture Victoria clenching her phone, trembling with rage, but forced to maintain her composure. My own lips twitched into an irrepressible smile. Mr. Carter, I hope you'll reconsider. Victoria took a deep breath, apparently trying to calm herself. Sterling Holdings is determined to acquire that land. If you're willing to withdraw, we can discuss a favorable arrangement for you. No deal. I flatly refused. For Ashley, I don't care what it costs. He's insane. This world is truly insane. A madman willing to throw tens of millions away for a woman is my competitor. All right, Mr. Carter, since you insist, we'll see each other at the auction. Victoria hung up with a sharp clack. I whistled, thoroughly pleased. Teasing an uptight ice queen like her was far more entertaining than dealing with Ashley's two-faced sweetness. When I arrived at Ashley's office building, she primly got into the car. Ethan, sweetie, I'm so tired today. Exhausted. Having dinner with those old men, my face is stiff from all the smiling. Good thing I have Ethan, my mobile ATM. Otherwise, I wouldn't put up with this crap. Rough day, babe. I started the car, then casually mentioned, oh, by the way, Victoria Sterling from Sterling Holdings called earlier. Wanted me to back off the West Side parcel. Ashley instantly tensed up. What did she say? That Victoria Sterling woman is eyeing that land too? No way. Absolutely can't let her get it. I turned her down flat, I said triumphantly. I told her I was buying it to build you a horse ranch, and she was so mad she could barely speak. Pretty good, huh? Ashley paused, then erupted in sheer delight. A horse ranch? Ha ha, this fool. Heaven is helping me. My dad was worried about finding a legitimate reason to get his hands on that land. And now, perfect. All I need to do is whisper in his ear, have him buy it in my name, then flip it to his company. A quick buy and sell, at least $100 million profit. She excitedly kissed me on the cheek, her voice cloyingly sweet. Ethan, you're the best. I knew you loved me most. I adore you. I looked at her sparkling eyes, my heart chilling. What a greedy woman. But greed was good. The greedier a person was, the more mistakes they made. I gently stroked her head. Silly girl. Anything for you is worth it. The dinner at the Sovereign Club was even more of a trap than I'd anticipated. This place was an exclusive club, officially a restaurant and tea house. But in reality, it was Richard Adams's lair for entertaining important guests and handling dirty business. When I arrived in my flashy Ferrari, Richard Adams and Ashley were already at the entrance, waiting to greet me personally. Richard Adams was around 50, dressed in a traditional Chinese-style jacket with frog closures, wearing Buddhist prayer beads and sporting a Buddha-like smile. He exuded an aura of warmth and friendliness. But what I heard was a different story. So, this is Ethan Carter? Looks pretty dumb. All that money, a real nouveau riche type. Ashley's taste is a bit off, but who cares, as long as we get his money. Mr. Carter, so young and accomplished, truly a fine gentleman. Richard Adams enthusiastically shook my hand. My daughter talks about you constantly, about how good you are to her. As a father, I'm truly touched. I feigned flattered surprise, returning his handshake. Mr. Adams, you're too kind. I should be thanking you for raising such a wonderful daughter as Ashley. Ashley demurely stamped her foot. Dad, Ethan, stop teasing me. Keep acting. Two old men, one playing the doting father, the other playing the idiot. Disgusting. Just finish dinner and sign the contract, that's the main thing. A truly harmonious family of actors. Inside the most exclusive private room, the table was laden with gourmet dishes, an extravagant display of luxury. After a few rounds of drinks, Richard Adams finally revealed his true intentions. Mr. Carter, I hear you're very interested in that new energy project on the West Side, he asked, pouring me a glass of top-shelf whiskey, a benevolent smile on his face. Oh yeah, definitely. I slurred, pretending to be a bit tipsy. Heard it's a moneymaker. so I figured I'd throw some cash at it. Mr. Adams, you're the expert. Care to give me your opinion? Expert? Not at all, just a casual chat, Richard Adams said, sipping his tea slowly. This project, it certainly has good prospects, but there are a lot of hidden complexities. Without someone experienced to guide you, it's easy to get scammed. And you, this dumb outsider, are precisely who we're going to scam. I nodded vigorously. Right, Mr. Adams is absolutely correct. So what should I do? Simple. Richard Adams pulled a document from beside him and pushed it towards me. This is our company's project evaluation and cooperation proposal. You, Mr. Carter, just provide the funds. All other matters, from technology to operations, will be handled by us. You'll hold 40% of the shares and receive a guaranteed annual dividend of $100 million. How about that? Fair deal, wouldn't you say? I picked up the thick contract, pretending to struggle as I flipped through it. Captain Anderson's intel had clearly marked all the traps in this project. This contract was a gaping pit. The so-called cooperation meant I would put up all the money, which they would then use to plug the holes in their illegal loan shark operations. The project would inevitably collapse due to poor management, and I would lose everything. Ashley, sitting beside me, gently placed some food on my plate, her voice soft. Ethan, sweetie, my dad wouldn't trick you. He's giving you such a good opportunity because of me. Anyone else would be begging to partner with him. Sign it. You idiot, sign it now. Sign this contract, and you'll be a hero to our family. Once the money is in the account, we'll find a reason for you to just disappear. Hearing that venomous thought, my eyes flickered with coldness, but my face maintained its goofy, naive smile. I slapped the contract shut with a thud, declared grandly, Mr. Adams's reputation, Ashley's recommendation, I must honor them. This contract, I'll sign it. But I deliberately drew out the word. Richard Adams and Ashley's expressions instantly tensed. But what? Richard Adams asked, his smile a little forced. Did he figure it out? No way, he's just a mining mogul. What would he know about corporate finance? I chuckled, pointing at the contract. Mr. Adams, the investment amount listed here is $200 million. I just bought Ashley that West Side parcel, so I'm a little tight on cash. Could I perhaps invest $100 million now, and I'll pay the remaining $100 million next month? This was my way of testing their bottom line. According to Captain Anderson's analysis, their illegal loan shark operation had a capital shortfall of around $150 million. If they were desperate for cash, they would agree to my proposal. Sure enough, Richard Adams and Ashley exchanged glances. I heard Richard Adams's thought. $100 million is fine too. Plug the holes first. As for the rest, he won't be able to back out. Once he's on board, he's ours. Richard Adams immediately put on an even more enthusiastic smile. No problem. Mr. Carter, if you're having difficulties, I completely understand. $100 million is still a substantial sum. We'll start the project with that. No rush for the rest of the money. He immediately summoned his secretary to amend the contract on the spot. I signed the name Ethan Carter with a flourish. The moment I signed, I clearly heard the relieved euphoria in both Richard and Ashley's minds. It's done. The idiot finally took the bait. I tossed the pen aside, feigning intoxication as I leaned back in my chair. Mr. Adams, Ashley from now on, we're family. Hiccup. I'm so happy. Yes, family, Richard Adams said, his eyes practically disappearing into his smile as he personally refilled my glass. I didn't drink that glass. I accidentally knocked it over, spilling wine all over the floor, because I'd heard a subtle thought from the server in the corner. Boss put something in his drink. Once he drinks it, he'll be out cold. Next, they'll take him to the basement to sign the real debt transfer agreement. My heart chilled. Well played. They weren't even bothering with a shady contract, going straight to sedatives to force me into a slavery agreement. Ruthless. I pretended to pass out, slumping onto the table. Ethan, sweetie? Ethan. Ashley nudged me. Seeing no response, she and Richard Adams exchanged a triumphant look. Dad, it's done. Good. Take him downstairs. Make sure it's clean. Richard Adams's voice turned cold, losing all trace of its former warmth. Make him put his thumbprint on that debt agreement. From now on, he and his shell company are ours. 2 bodyguards entered, lifted my unconscious form, and headed toward a hidden door behind the private room. As I was being dragged away, I subtly pressed the emergency beacon in my pocket. Captain Anderson, it's your turn. Beyond the hidden door lay a long, cold corridor. The air was thick with a damp, moldy smell, a world apart from the opulent Sovereign Club above. I was held up by the two bodyguards, my feet dragging on the ground, my head lolling, continuing to play the part of comatose drunk. My brain, however, was in overdrive, my ears catching every thought around me. This kid looks scrawny, but he's heavy. After he puts his thumbprint on it, do we just finish him off or hold him for a few days first? Boss said to squeeze out all his remaining value first. Isn't he chasing the Victoria Sterling chick? We can use him to set a trap for Sterling Holdings. Hearing that, my heart stirred. Victoria Sterling? They wanted to drag her into this too. These people weren't just greedy, they had huge appetites. We were led into a basement. The lighting was dim, with only a bare bulb hanging overhead. In the center of the room sat an iron table and a few chairs, while a pile of what looked like ropes and stun batons lay in the corner. I was roughly thrown into a chair. Richard Adams and Ashley followed close behind. Wake him up, Richard Adams commanded coldly. A bodyguard brought over a bucket of cold water and splashed it over my head with a whoosh. The icy water made me shiver. I groggily opened my eyes, looking at the scene before me, my face conveying a perfectly timed look of terror. Mr. Adams? Ashley? Where am I? How'd I get here? Ashley stood before me, arms crossed, looking down at me with no trace of her former sweetness or shyness, only contempt and mockery. Ethan, cut the act, she said. You meet on our chopping block now. Be smart and cooperate. I horrifiedly looked at her. Ashley, what do you mean? Aren't we family? Family. Ashley laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke. You, a mere nouveau riche, dare to talk about family with me? You're nothing but a stupid fish I reeled in. Richard Adams walked up to me, slapping a document onto the table, a red ink pad beside it. Mr. Carter, don't say we didn't give you a chance. He said slowly, sign this agreement, put your thumbprint on it, and we guarantee you'll live comfortably for the rest of your life. Of course, in a place we designate. I glanced at the agreement, titled Unlimited Joint and Several Liability Debt Transfer Agreement. If I signed that, I wouldn't just be transferring all my shell company's assets to them for free. I'd also be shouldering all the bad debts and losses from their illegal loan shark operations, amounting to hundreds of millions. This wasn't just cutting off a limb. This was pulverizing me to dust. I won't sign. I righteously refused. This is illegal. I'll call the police. Call the police? Richard Adams chuckled. Mr. Carter, are you still drunk? Look around you. Your phone, your car keys, they're not on you anymore. Here, I am the law. He gestured to a nearby bodyguard. The bodyguard, who had just been mentally plotting how to deal with Victoria Sterling, smirked and picked up a stun baton, flicking it on in front of me. ZZZZZT. Blue electrical arcs danced in the air, emitting a teeth-grinding sound. Mr. Carter, I suggest you be pragmatic. The bodyguard voice was full of menace. Otherwise, this thing doesn't have eyes. I looked at them, mentally calculating the time. Captain Anderson receiving the signal, assembling his team, and raiding this place would take at least 15 minutes. I needed to stall for time and protect this crucial evidence. Ooh, okay, I'll sign. I pretended to completely break down, my voice trembling. Please don't use that thing. I'm scared of pain. A triumphant smile spread across Ashley's face. Coward is a coward. A little scare and he folds. Richard Adams was also satisfied. That's better. If you'd done that earlier, you wouldn't have had to suffer. I reached a trembling hand toward the agreement. Just as my fingers were about to touch the paper, the basement door was once again kicked open from the outside. Bang! This time, the force was at least 10 times stronger than Kyle's kick. The heavy iron door was completely warped, slamming against the wall with a deafening crash. Standing in the doorway was someone I absolutely hadn't expected. Victoria Sterling. She was still in her sharp black business suit, but in her hand, she was carrying a fire extinguisher. Behind her, 2 bodyguards, similarly suited but with bulging muscles around their temples, followed. Everyone in the basement, including me, was stunned. A thought flashed through my mind. How is she here? Then I heard her thoughts. Damn it, Ethan Carter. I knew he was a complete idiot. To actually come to Richard Adams's territory alone for a woman. If I hadn't had a bad feeling and sent someone to follow him, he'd be dead here today. Her internal monologue was filled with fury and a hint of worry I'd never heard from her before. Richard Adams was the first to react, his face turning ashen. Victoria Sterling, what are you doing here? Victoria's gaze swept across the room, finally landing on my wet clothes, and the stunned baton pointed at me. Her eyes instantly turned as cold as a Siberian winter. Richard Adams, you've got some nerve. Her voice was soft but full of crushing pressure. Doing this to my people on my property? I froze. Wait, your people? When did I become your people? And Sterling Holdings' property? I suddenly remembered. Captain Anderson's briefing had casually mentioned that the building housing the Sovereign Club was owned by Sterling Holdings. Richard Adams only leased a few floors. Richard Adams clearly hadn't expected Victoria to pull a stunt like this. He forced himself to remain calm. Ms. Sterling, this is a misunderstanding. Mr. Carter and I are discussing business. He had too much to drink, and we were just helping him sober up downstairs. Sober him up? Victoria sneered, hefting the fire extinguisher. With a stun baton? Mr. Adams's methods are certainly unique. She slammed the fire extinguisher onto the floor with a dull thud. I don't care what business you're discussing. Victoria's eyes swept over Richard Adams and his bodyguards. Now, immediately release him. Then take your people and get off my property. Her aura was so powerful that the two bodyguards unconsciously took a step back. Ashley shrieked, unwilling to concede. Victoria Sterling, mind your own business. This is between us and Ethan Carter. What does it have to do with you? That bitch. How did she get here? She's ruined our entire plan. Victoria didn't even bother to look at her, her gaze still fixed on Richard Adams. Richard Adams, I'm saying this one last time. Release him. Richard Adams's face shifted between rage and uncertainty. I heard his internal struggle. Clash with Victoria Sterling? No, Sterling Holdings is too powerful for us right now. But just let this kid go. The fat lamb is escaping. Damn it. All Ashley's fault. Rushing to make a move today. Just as the tension reached its peak, I suddenly burst into tears with a dramatic wail. Yes, a 6-foot-tall man, crying like the world was ending, snot and tears streaming down my face. Boo-hoo-hoo. Ms. Sterling, save me. They're trying to kill me. They forced me to sign a contract. Boo-hoo-hoo. I'm so scared. As I wailed, I scrambled on all fours toward Victoria, wrapping my arms around her. Ankle. In that instant, the air in the entire basement solidified. Victoria looked down, seeing me clinging to her leg, crying like a huge toddler. She completely stiffened. I clearly heard the volcanic eruption in her mind. Ethan Carter, let go of me, you idiot. Your snot is on my limited edition Armani pants. I'm going to kill you. Victoria's mind was roaring, but her poker face was legendary. To outsiders, she merely frowned slightly, looking down at me as if I were a disobedient, enormous, moving nuisance. Get up. Her voice held a barely perceptible edge of irritation. Not only did I not get up, I held on tighter, crying even louder. No, Ms. Sterling, you're like a second mother to me, my savior. They're bad people. They want to harm me. You can't just abandon me. While bawling, I subtly observed Richard Adams out of the corner of my eye. My goal was simple: solidify my stupid and cowardly persona, making both Richard Adams and Victoria drop their guard. At the same time, I needed to completely drag Victoria into the mess, making the situation more chaotic so that when Captain Anderson's team raided, they'd have a better chance of catching everyone. Victoria clearly understood my intention. This jerk, he's using me as a human shield. Does he think if he holds my leg, Richard Adams won't touch him? Naive. But he really does look like a terrified idiot right now. Did I misjudge him? Is he really just a fool? Her internal monologue was filled with conflicting thoughts and disgust. Richard Adams watched this absurd scene, his face growing darker and darker. Victoria's appearance had completely derailed his plan. He dared not use force against her. Yet, letting me go just like this was an unbearable insult. Ms. Sterling, are you truly going to burn bridges with me? Richard Adams, over. This thing. Richard Adams's voice carried a thinly veiled threat. Victoria took a deep breath, seemingly having made a decision. Richard Adams, I'm not doing this for him. Her voice returned to its icy calm. I'm doing this for the rules of Sterling Holdings. My property will not tolerate anyone causing trouble. If you dare to lay a single finger on him today, tomorrow, I will make sure every single one of your businesses in this city shuts down. Her words were decisive and utterly dominant. Clinging to her leg, I couldn't help but want to applaud her. Madwoman, this woman is a lunatic. To threaten me like that for a useless idiot. Fine. Victoria Sterling, you just wait. I'm putting this on your tab. Richard Adams's inner thoughts screamed with rage, but he ultimately chose to back down. He glared at me hatefully, then waved a hand at his subordinates. Let's go. Ashley, her face full of resentment, tried to say something, but Richard Adams grabbed her arm, dragging her out of the basement. Soon, only I, Victoria, and her 2 bodyguards remained in the basement. The leg I was holding suddenly moved. Can you let go now? Victoria's voice came from above, colder than the bucket of water that had just drenched me. I snapped out of my trance, quickly letting go and scrambling to my feet, my face a picture of relief and overflowing gratitude. Ms. Sterling, thank you so much. You're my goddess. If you hadn't come, I'd be dead for sure today. As I spoke, I tried to take her hand to express intimacy. Victoria recoiled a large step, as if I were carrying a plague. Her 2 bodyguards immediately stepped forward, positioning themselves to my left and right, their eyes unfriendly. Don't touch me. So gross. My pants. I have to burn them when I get home. Hearing her almost collapsed internal monologue, I nearly laughed out loud, but maintained my idiotic, grateful expression. Ms. Sterling, please don't misunderstand. I just want to express my gratitude. Words aren't enough. From now on, you're my big sister. Whatever you need, just say the word. Through hell or high water, Ethan Carter, won't bat an eye. I vowed, thumping my chest. Victoria looked at me as if I were an alien. Shut up. She spat out 2 cold words. Then, she turned to her bodyguards. Get him out of here, throw him on the street. From now on, he's not allowed to step foot in any property owned by Sterling Holdings. Yes, Ms. Sterling. The 2 bodyguards immediately came forward, grabbing me by the arms. Hey, wait. Ms. Sterling. Sister. I began to struggle. You can't do this to me. I'm your savior. No, you're my savior. We've been through too much together. Victoria ignored me, turning and walking away, her high heels clicking crisply on the concrete floor, each step sounding like it crushed my dignity. I was dragged out of the Sovereign Club like a dead dog by the 2 bodyguards and left by the roadside. A chill night wind blew, making me shiver. A black luxury sedan silently pulled up beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Captain Anderson's perpetually stoic face. Get in. I brushed off the dust from my clothes and quickly hopped into the car. Captain, what are you doing here? Duh, you pressed the panic button. Did you think I wouldn't show up? Captain Anderson handed me a dry towel. What happened? Didn't go according to plan. How did Victoria Sterling suddenly pop up? I wiped my hair, quickly recounting the events. Captain Anderson listened, his brow furrowed. This Victoria Sterling is a wild card. With her stirring things up, Richard Adams will be even more cautious. It'll be harder to get him to fall for the same trap again. Not necessarily, I said, looking out at the rapidly receding city lights, a smile playing on my lips. I think this might actually be an opportunity. Oh, Richard Adams took a big hit today. Knowing his personality, he'll definitely retaliate. He won't dare to directly attack Sterling Holdings, but he'll definitely come after me, trying to recoup his losses. And he heard Victoria say my people today, so he'll definitely think Victoria and I have some special relationship. Captain Anderson's eyes lit up. You mean, he'll use you to get back at Victoria Sterling? Exactly, I nodded. His bodyguard's internal monologue earlier mentioned that very thing. This is a perfect opportunity. We can turn their plan against them, pull Sterling Holdings into it, and put on an even bigger show. The more Richard Adams tries to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, the more cracks will show. But that would put Sterling Holdings and Victoria Sterling in danger. Captain Anderson hesitated. We're cops. We can't involve innocent civilians. Victoria Sterling isn't an ordinary civilian. Her icy face and furious internal monologues flashed in my mind. She's a force to be reckoned with. Plus, I have a feeling she might be key to taking down Richard Adams. Most importantly, I'd heard that fleeting moment of worry in her deepest thoughts, a concern she herself hadn't even noticed, hidden beneath her disgust and fury. This woman, cold on the outside, warm on the inside, tough on the surface, soft at heart. Interesting. All right, just make sure you know your limits, kid. Captain Anderson finally agreed to my plan. Remember, your safety is paramount. As for Victoria Sterling, I'll have someone keep an eye on her to ensure her safety. Understood. The car dropped me off at my rented, gaudily decorated home. I just showered and changed into clean clothes when the doorbell rang. I peeked through the peephole. It was Ashley. She was alone, her face expertly made up, but it couldn't hide the anxiety in her eyes. I opened the door, and before I could speak, she dropped to her knees in front of me with a thud. Ethan, sweetie, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. My dad forced me. It had nothing to do with me. She clutched my leg, launching into her Oscar-level performance again, crying hysterically. I almost kicked her away. Another leg hug? Did the Addams family have some weird KPI for that? While trying to discreetly pull away in disgust, I listened to her thoughts. This idiot, he must still have feelings for me. That bitch Victoria protected him so much. It means he still has value. I'll keep him calm for now, then come up with a long-term plan. As long as I win him back, Dad's plan still has a chance. I scoffed internally, but on my face, I wore an expression of heartbroken conflict, reaching out to help her up. Ashley, what are you doing? Get up. No, Ethan, sweetie, if you don't forgive me, I won't get up. She cried even harder. I was really forced. My dad, I can't go against him. I truly care about you in my heart, Ethan. Care about you, my foot. If it wasn't for you being useful, I'd stab you twice right now. Truly, astonishing. I struggled for a long time, eventually softening. I helped her up from the floor, pulled her into a hug, and sighed. Silly girl, how could I blame you? I know you had no choice. Ashley, in my arms, curved her lips into a triumphant smile. Got him. Idiot is still an idiot. And I, holding this venomous woman, had but one thought. The fish has taken the bait again. Next time, I'll make sure you pay back every single cent you've taken, with interest. After Ashley's pity play, our relationship entered a strange honeymoon phase. She became even more attentive, greeting me daily, bringing homemade soup to my office, and even showing an unprecedented level of dependence and affection in public. Of course, it was all an act. I heard every thought clearly. That Ice Cube Victoria Sterling is nothing. See, Ethan, that fool, is still wrapped around my finger. Men are just so pathetic. And I was more than happy to play along. I remained the free-spending Mr. Carter. Whatever she wanted, I gave. That West Side parcel? I bought it without batting an eye and registered it directly in her name, which moved her to tears of joy. Ha ha ha. $100 million in hand. This land can be flipped for another $100 million pure profit. Ethan, this ATM, is getting easier and easier to use. Richard Adams, for his part, temporarily went quiet, no longer making any small moves. But the people he sent to monitor me never decreased. I knew they were waiting for an opportunity to drag me, Victoria, and Sterling Holdings down together. The opportunity soon arrived. An invitation to Sterling Holdings' annual charity gala landed on my desk. In previous years, a nouveau riche like Ethan Carter wouldn't have qualified for such an event. But this year, because of my earth-shattering public spat with Victoria, I had become the hottest gossip topic in the city's business circles. Victoria even called me personally. Ethan, are you coming to the gala? Her voice was still cool, but seemed to lack a hint of impatience. Of course. It's my big sister's event. How could I miss it? I immediately adopted a fawning tone. Another silence from the other end. Who's your big sister? Whatever. Expecting him to say anything sensible is like waiting for a pig to fly. Richard Adams will be there that night, she suddenly said. What's it to me if he's there? I said dismissively. With you covering me, sis, I'm not scared of him. He's truly a hopeless idiot. But idiocy has its advantages. At least Richard Adams will put all his attention on him. Ethan, Victoria's tone grew more serious. That night, stay far away from Richard Adams. Don't get into any conflict with him. He's not someone you can afford to provoke. I paused. I could tell her words were sincere. This fool, he almost got killed by Richard Adams last time, and he hasn't learned a thing. He's the type who gets sold out and helps count the money. I need to find a way to prevent him from falling into Richard Adams's hands again. A warmth spread through my chest. In this undercover life, filled with hypocrisy and calculations, this was the first time I'd heard such pure concern, devoid of any self-interest. Even if it was wrapped in a veneer of disgust and contempt. Got it. Whatever you say, sis. I replied playfully. I hung up and immediately contacted Captain Anderson. Captain, the fish is about to bite. Sterling Holdings Charity Gala is when we reel them in. Are you confident? 100%, I said, looking out the window. Richard Adams won't miss this opportunity. In that kind of setting, he'll definitely try to ruin me, or both me and Victoria Sterling. I need you to set up a dragnet at the gala. All the evidence of his illegal dealings that night, I need him to confess with his own mouth. All right, I'll deploy immediately. On the night of the charity gala, I arrived in full regalia. A bright purple suit paired with a gold tie, my hair slicked back and gleaming, a gold chain as thick as my pinky finger around my neck, perfectly embodying the tacky rich aesthetic. The moment I entered, I became the center of attention. Countless eyes were on me, and I could hear all sorts of thoughts. Oh my God, who's that? Dressed like an eggplant on steroids. Is that the legendary Mr. Carter? The man who's got both Victoria Sterling and Ashley Adams wrapped around my finger? He's not even that good looking. I heard he spends 8 figures in a single night for Ashley Adams. Some people have it all, some have nothing. I held my head high, ignoring the chatter, and walked straight toward the hostess of the evening, Victoria Sterling. She wore a silver white, off-the-shoulder gown, her hair elegantly styled up, revealing her long, graceful neck. Her cool demeanor made her stand out in the bustling crowd, like a luminous moonlight goddess. Why is that eggplant heading straight for me? Stay away, Ugg. Completely disregarding her internal resistance, I approached with 2 champagne flutes, grinning. Sis, you look amazing tonight, like an angel descended from heaven. Victoria's lips twitched. Thanks, she bit out. Sis, I want to tell you something, I said, lowering my voice conspiratorially. What is it? I heard the highlight item at the auction tonight is a blue diamond called Heart of the Ocean. I want to bid on it and give it to you. My face was full of sincerity. Victoria's expression was as if she'd swallowed a fly. For me? Aren't you chasing Ashley Adams? What do you take Ashley for? And do you even know the starting bid for that diamond? $100 million. Do you think your money grows on trees? No need. She coldly refused. I don't want it. Oh, come on, sis, I urged. It's a token of my appreciation. You saved me last time, and I haven't properly thanked you yet. This diamond, consider it my thank you gift. As I pestered her, Ashley elegantly approached. She wore a fiery red gown, a stark contrast to Victoria's silver white. As soon as she arrived, she naturally linked her arm with mine, sweetly cooing, Ethan, sweetie, there you are. I've been looking all over for you. Then, she looked at Victoria, her eyes full of challenge. That bitch Victoria, trying to seduce my ATM again? No way. Victoria merely glanced at her dismissively, said nothing, and turned to walk away. Hey sis, don't go. I quickly grabbed her arm. I wasn't finished talking. That diamond. Ashley's face darkened. This idiot, he's still thinking about buying things for Victoria in front of me? I guess I haven't taught him enough of a lesson. She squeezed my arm hard, her face still wearing a sweet smile. Ethan, sweetie, Ms. Sterling is a busy woman. Let's not bother her. Let's go get something to eat over there. A silent battle had quietly erupted around me, and all of it was part of my plan. I wanted everyone to see me, this idiot caught between 2 women, a massive focal point of drama. That way, Richard Adams would feel that his opportunity had arrived. Sure enough, I soon heard the conversation between Richard Adams and his confidant not far away. Boss, this Ethan Carter playing 2 women, he's practically digging his own grave. He's courting death. But this is a good opportunity for us. You mean? Later, you go do this. This, and then this. I'll make him lose face in front of everyone in this city. And while we're at it, drag that arrogant Victoria Sterling down with him. Listening to their malicious plan, the corners of my mouth curled into a slight smile. Come on, Richard Adams. My net is set. just waiting for a big fish like you to swim right in. Richard Adams's plan was simple, crude, but utterly vicious. He had instructed a trusted subordinate to find a female server. During the chaos, she would accidentally spill wine on me, then guide me to a dusty, old storage room to change clothes. Inside the storage room, several men were already hidden, ready to knock me out. At the same time, he would have people spread rumors that Victoria and I were secretly meeting in the storage room, doing unspeakable things. Then he would kindly bring Ashley and a group of reporters to catch us in the act. When they arrived, we'd be caught red-handed. I, the two-timing scumbag, and Victoria, the homewrecker, would become the biggest scandal in the city overnight. Sterling Holdings' stock price would plummet, and Richard Adams could seize the opportunity to buy up Sterling Holdings' shares at a low price, even forcing Victoria out of her position. Killing two birds with one stone, his calculations were perfectly laid out. Listening to all this, I had only one thought. Nailed it. I pretended to be completely oblivious, continuing my loving display with Ashley, occasionally throwing a flirty glance at Victoria, perfectly embodying the image of a two-timing jerk. Victoria was so annoyed with me her face was practically frozen solid. That jerk! What's he trying to do? Wasn't the last lesson enough? Does he truly want to die by Richard Adams's hand? I could feel her continually watching me out of the corner of her eye, filled with worry and anger. Soon, the prearranged female server, carrying a tray, nervously bumped into me. A glass of red wine, right on target, splashed all over my bright purple suit. I'm so sorry. So sorry, Mr. Carter. I didn't mean to. The server's face was pale with fright, apologizing profusely. I knew exactly what was going on. This girl was also being coerced. I heard her thought. I'm sorry, sir. My mother is still in their hands. I can't disobey them. I feigned furious anger, pushing her away. Are you blind? Do you know how much this suit costs? You couldn't afford to replace it if you sold yourself. I played the role of an arrogant, overbearing nouveau riche to perfection. Ashley immediately stepped in to mediate. Ethan, sweetie, don't be angry. It's just clothes. I'll go with you to take care of it. As she spoke, she winked at me. The plan has begun. Ethan Carter, your death day has come. Come on, let's go unlucky. I grumbled, following the server toward the storage room. Ashley followed triumphantly behind. As I passed Victoria, I deliberately paused, winked at her, and mouthed two words, wait for me. Victoria's brow furrowed even deeper. Wait for him? Wait for what? What the hell is this lunatic up to? I followed the server to the end of a secluded hallway. She pointed to a dilapidated door. Mr. Carter, there's spare clothes inside. You can make do. I pushed the door open, a strong smell of mildew wafting out. The moment I stepped inside, a huge force shoved me from behind. Someone pushed me into the storage room. Then bang, the door slammed shut and was locked. In the darkness, several figures surrounded me, all holding clubs. Kid, you mess with our boss, you're bad luck. The leader grinned, raising his club. I sighed. Warm-up time was over. The instant the club began to descend, I moved. My body shot forward like an arrow released from a bow, vanishing from my original spot. The next second, I appeared behind the man with the club, delivering a precise chop to his back of the neck. Ugh! The man didn't even grunt, slumping to the ground like a sack of potatoes. The remaining men were stunned. You're not. I'm not what? I twisted my neck, a series of satisfying cracks echoing, a cold smile on my face that was completely unlike Mr. Carter. I'm not a pathetic idiot, am I? Before they could react, I plunged into their midst. Grappling, close combat, joint locks. These skills, ingrained in my bones, erupted completely in that moment. In less than 30 seconds, everyone in the storage room lay on the floor, incapacitated. I clapped my hands as if I'd just done something trivial. Then, I pulled a micro earpiece from my pocket and put on. Captain, fish in the net, time to reel them in. Received. Assault team, in position. Bravo team, Charlie team, secure all exits. Alpha team with me moving in. I walked to the door, waiting quietly. Outside, Richard Adams and Ashley were approaching, leading a large group of reporters. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, please quiet down. Richard Adams declared, feigning righteous indignation. My daughter's sincere heart has been played by a scoundrel. Today, I will expose the true face of that Mr. Carter, right here in front of all of you. Ashley beside him sobbed heartbrokenly. Ethan, sweetie, how would you do this to me? Boo-hoo, I loved you so much. The reporters' flashbulbs exploded like crazy. I could hear all their thoughts. Big news, high society drama, love triangle. Tonight's headlines are set. That Mr. Carter looks so innocent. Can't believe he's this wild. CEO Victoria Sterling is the other woman. This is explosive. Richard Adams walked to the storage room door, triumphantly telling the reporters that scumbag is in there right now, with his mistress, Victoria Sterling, doing something illicit. As he spoke, he pulled out a key and inserted it into the lock. Everyone looked closely. He twisted hard and pushed the door open. The door opened. Everyone looked inside. Then, everyone froze. Inside the storage room, the lights were bright. Ethan Carter, studi perfectly fine. My clothes were spotless, not a single wine stain. And beside me, there was no Mistress Victoria Sterling. Only a few bruised and battered men, tied up like sausages, groaning on the floor. Most importantly, in my hand, I held a phone with its recording and video functions active. On the screen, every word Richard Adams had said outside the door, every action he'd taken, played back clearly. Mr. Adams, what did you just say? I shook the phone, asking with a smile. Who did you say was in there doing something illicit? Richard Adams's face instantly turned ashen. Ashley's sobs abruptly stopped. The reporters were all dumbfounded. This wasn't the script. In the dead silence, a cool voice came from the back of the crowd. Richard Adams, were you looking for me? The crowd parted. Victoria Sterling, flanked by her two bodyguards, slowly walked forward. In her hand, she also held a phone, its screen similarly lit. Unlucky for you, I also recorded something just now. She raised her phone. The entire process of Mr. Adams sending people to follow me, attempting to kidnap and defame me, I recorded it all. Richard Adams's body began to tremble uncontrollably. It's over. It's all over. His inner wail echoed to the heavens. But it wasn't over yet. Richard Adams. A thunderous shout came from the ballroom entrance. Captain Anderson, in his police uniform, leading a team of heavily armed tactical officers, stormed in. This is the city police department. We suspect you of involvement in organized crime, illegal money laundering, aggravated assault, unlawful detainment, and multiple other charges. You are under arrest. Captain Anderson walked up to the ashen-faced Richard Adams, presenting a pair of cold handcuffs. Click. The era of Richard Adams was over. Ashley screamed, collapsing to the floor. The reporters' flashbulbs once again fired frantically. Only this time, the cameras were aimed at Richard Adams and his daughter, now in handcuffs. I put away my phone and walked over to Victoria. Thanks, sis, I said genuinely. This time, I didn't use Ethan Carter's greasy tone. I used my own voice. Victoria looked at me, her eyes filled with a complex mix of shock and surprise. She looked me up and down, as if seeing me for the first time. Then, I heard her thoughts, clear as a bell. He's not an eggplant. He's a cop. Oh my God, he's hot. I couldn't help it. I snorted, then burst out laughing. The news of Richard Adams's crime syndicate being completely dismantled became the front-page headline of every newspaper in the city the next day. Those so-called socialites who had once fawned over the Adams father and daughter and mocked me as dumb and rich were all stunned. They never dreamed that the eggplant Mr. Carter they'd ridiculed was actually a decorated captain in the city's anti-gang unit. And I, Ethan Hayes, after shedding that purple suit and putting back on my police uniform, felt like the whole world was a cleaner, fresher place. The department gave me a long vacation. The first thing I did was devour 3 massive bowls of steak frites I'd been craving, slurping down every last drop of sauce. On the second day of my vacation, I received an unexpected call. It was from Victoria Sterling. Hello. My voice was a little nervous for some reason. Officer Hayes. On the other end, Victoria's voice also seemed a touch unnatural. Just call me Ethan, I said with a smile. All right, Ethan. She paused, then said, Are you free? I'd like to treat you to dinner as a thank you. Thank me. Her thought from the charity gala, "Oh my God, he's hot," immediately flashed in my mind, and my lips curved into a smile. "Sound good," I readily agreed. "You pick the place." We met at a quiet, upscale restaurant. When Victoria arrived, she wasn't wearing her signature business suit. Instead, she had on a simple white sundress, her hair casually down. She looked less like the Ice Queen and more gently radiant. I admit, I was a little mesmerized. She seemed to notice my gaze, her cheeks coloring slightly. Why is he looking at me like that? My heart is racing. No, Victoria, maintain your composure. Hearing her thoughts, I was in high spirits. Dinner was exceptionally harmonious. We talked about many things from work to life, and even some trivial hobbies. I discovered that, apart from her identity as CEO of Sterling Holdings, she was actually a very interesting woman. She'd be moved by an old movie, flash a childlike smile over a dessert, and frown over work frustrations. She wasn't like Ashley Adams, where her thoughts and words were always two different versions. Victoria's inner world, like her outer appearance, was honest, direct, and even a little goo. For instance, when the server brought out the chef's special honey-glazed dessert, which she clearly loved, she said, "I don't really like sweets." But in her head, she was cheering, "Oh my God, honey-glazed dessert, my absolute favorite. But can't let him know, gotta stay cool." I stifled a laugh, pushing the plate toward her. "Ms. Sterling, you should try this. It's the house specialty. It'd be a waste if you didn't." She reluctantly picked up her chopsticks, took a small piece, and put it in her mouth. So good." "No, only one piece. Gotta watch my figure." She put down her chopsticks, wiped her mouth, and said coolly, "It's all right." Then I silently ate the entire plate. I could clearly hear the resentment radiating from her. Monster. He's a monster. He ate the entire honey-glazed dessert right in front of me. Didn't even leave a single bite. I'm so mad. Seeing her pouty face, I felt like my mind-reading ability was finally being put to good use. After dinner, we walked along the riverfront. A gentle evening breeze stirred her hair. "Ethan," she suddenly stopped, looking at me. "That night, did you already know Richard Adams's plan?" "Yeah, I didn't deny it." "Then you still..." She trailed off. "Still deliberately drag you into it, right?" I finished her sentence. Victoria didn't speak, implicitly agreeing. "I'm sorry," I said, looking into her eyes sincerely. The situation was urgent, and I needed a big enough bait to make Richard Adams fully expose himself. And you were the best candidate. I promised you wouldn't be in danger. Victoria was silent for a long time. Just when I thought she was angry, she suddenly smiled. That smile was like melting ice and blooming spring. "I'm not blaming you," she said. "I know you were trying to catch criminals. And..." She paused, a mischievous glint in her eyes. "Being used as bait by the city's hottest cop doesn't seem like such a bad deal after all." My heart skipped a beat. Then I heard her thoughts. Tease him a little. He looks so cute when he blushes." I took a deep breath, feeling like I couldn't be passive anymore. I stepped forward, closing the distance between us. She was startled by my move, instinctively backing away, but I caught her wrist. "Ms. Sterling," I said, one word at a time, looking at her. "WH, what are you doing?" Her voice was a little flustered. "Oh my God, what's he doing? So close." My heart's go to burst. I smiled, leaned into her ear, and whispered, in a voice only we could hear. Actually, that night in the storage room, I heard two rather incredible thoughts. Victoria's body instantly stiffened. One was, "Oh my God, he's hot." I could feel her cheeks turning red at a visible rate. And another one, even before that. Someone was mentally calling me an eggplant. Victoria's eyes widened like saucers. She looked at me incredulously, her mouth forming an O. How did he know? Does he? Watching her flustered expression, the smile on my face deepened. I let go of her hand, stepped back, and held out my own. "Let's reintroduce ourselves. My name is Ethan Hayes. I'm a captain in the city's anti-gang unit, single, can read minds, and currently pursuing an Ice Queen CEO who's cold on the outside, warm on the inside, and loves honey-glazed dessert. Ms. Sterling, would you be willing to give me a chance?" Under the moonlight, the river breeze blew. Victoria stared at me blankly. Her brain seemingly crashed. But I could clearly hear a million gophers screaming wildly in her mind. H, 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 H. Yes, yes, yes. End.